And welcome back to San Antonio at the Henry B. Gonzalez Convention Center. More of the Texas High School Coaches Association Convention. We'll be here all day again tomorrow, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. We have a few stragglers. We're scheduled 9 to 4, but we do have that buffer between 4 and 5 that we can add just in case something happens. So we are glad to have Chris Tabor from Vernia joining us. He missed out on his scheduled time. But that's okay. We're glad that you're here, and we're glad to cover Vernia Bears football because you guys have been a really solid program for a number of years. And last year was another fun year on the football field. All the craziness around it, though. How was COVID 2020 for Vernia? Was it a challenge or a mess or something you never want to go through again?
I think a little bit of all of it, Bobby. Not really a mess for us. I think everybody kind of handled it well as head coaches and programs across the state of Texas. It was one of those things where you just had to have multiple plans in place. You never knew what was going to happen or if you were going to lose a kid or if somebody was going to get tested positive. So you try to have plans in place to make it through week to week. And we were fortunate enough not to really have to deal with it very much during the season until we had one kid test positive late in the year, but was already off campus. So we were very fortunate.
Kind of got lucky on that one.
Got lucky on that one, yes, sir.
Well, I'm going to miss Coy Carpenter. Tough guy. He was one of my favorites. Coy was about this tall, but he was the toughest little rascal you've ever seen. And but you graduate him and quite a few other good players. But how, at this point at Vernia, you've been there for a while now, you feel like it's 100% a Chris Tabor thing now, and you've been able to develop it all the way down to the middle schools, and so you feel like the kids coming up know what you expect?
Yeah, I don't think it's a Chris Tabor thing. I think it's a Vernia thing. It's kind of like listening to Coach Sark talk a minute ago. Whenever you come in, you try to build a foundation to build off of, and I think we've done that. Our kids understand what our expectations are. They understand our schemes, and just what do we ask of them on a day in and day out basis, and we're to that point. We've had some good players come through here. Daryl Dulac and Coy Carpenter last year, just to name a couple, and we've got some coming. We've got some young ones that can really play. So we're at the point now where I don't think we have to rebuild all the time. I think we're just kind of trying to reload and fill those spots with some youth, but trying to get them educated and on Friday night level pretty quickly.
Speaking of Dulac, did he ever get a college situation where he can go play at the next level? This was a kid that was, in my opinion, a little bit overlooked.
Yeah, he got overlooked a little bit, I think, too. He did have some schools offer that, didn't really have what he wanted to do in engineering. So he's going to Texas Tech. He's already talked to the staff. We've talked to the staff up there where he's going to walk on and try to play ball there, which I think he'll fit. But another kid, we had a special kid for 3 years that we kind of took advantage of, so we're going to have to replace that. It's going to be a big hole to fill.
Yeah, Clayton Chadwick was not a bad one either.
He wasn't bad either.
And he's how's his baseball career going?
He's doing well. He's down at Sam Houston right now. They had the number 5 overall pick this year in the Major League Draft, so anytime you have kids coming out of a program like that, it definitely gets some more eyes on you too. So
well, those guys kind of really carried your early years at Vernia, and so if you're able to go on to great successful things, you got to credit those guys for helping get this thing started.
Absolutely. Anytime you take over a program and you get in there and you try to build a foundation, it's usually a 3 to 5 year process, kind of get it going and get those junior high kids coming through. And we were fortunate to have an unbelievable class 2 years ago to kind of put us on the map. Got to the regional finals against Liberty Hill with Chadwick's group and had another successful year.
And led the game with 6 minutes to go.
I know it. We don't want to talk about that. But, built the program, got it going. The kids have done a really good job of trying to continue that success. And now we've got to take it to the next level. We got to get to the semis. We got to try to get to a state championship. And I think we've got those kids coming to make a run at it.
Well, I believe, if Mark, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know if our speaker's on over there or not, but we will have Shay Hendricks, I believe, after you, and that's turned into quite the rivalry.
Yeah.
With Bernie. They're going to be one of the ones in your way there in district play for sure.
Yeah, and they're about a year away from us because they've got a bunch back this year. They got the quarterback back, Rashad's back, and a bunch of skill kids back. We graduated about 26. Yeah. So, but every year, both schools get up for that game. It's always been competitive. I think the last 3 games have been decided by 1 touchdown, and so it'll be fun, but we got to find a way to get over the hump on that one.
Yeah, you're going to be sad when Rashawn Galloway graduates from Vernia and you don't have to see him anymore.
I won't be sad. Just like I'm sure a lot of people weren't sad whenever Chadwick graduated.
Well, he reminds me of Chadwick a little bit.
He plays a lot like him.
They are fierce competitors.
Yeah, he's elusive. He's got a great arm. He understands the offense that they're running and does a good job of extending plays, and that's where he can hurt you, you know.
Well, you got as always, a competitive schedule. You know, I know Navarro is they're not in your division with Division I, Division II, but that's a great non-district game. They kind of jumped out on you last year, and then y'all come back and win that game. But talk about some of the opponents that you look forward to playing here in 2021.
Well, we were fortunate this year to get our 5As back. So we've got Floresville back on the schedule. We got Seguin back on the schedule. We open up at Cuero and at Navarro. So and then LaGrange comes to town, and so it's a tough schedule, but we do it on purpose. You know, we want our kids to be battle tested before we get to district, before we get to the playoffs. So if we're going to find out what we need to work on and what we need to fix, those are some programs that are going to expose us and show us what we need to do.
You kind of owe LaGrange one, don't you?
Yeah. We don't want to talk about that one either. That one kind of slipped away from us.
But, you know, it's good. It's never good when those things happen, but it's good when they happen in a way in non-district play, because is that something you can build off of? Do you sometimes learn more in a loss than you do in a win, or is that a stupid cliche?
I don't know if you learn more, but you learn all the time. You know, it's the same thing I talk to our coaches about. You know, every opportunity is an opportunity to coach. Whether a kid does something wrong, does something right, you know, we can still coach. And it's the same aspect in wins and losses. You know, we can always look back at that and now say, look, we do not have enough points to relax.
Right.
And that's what happens when you do that, when you kind of take your foot off the gas pedal and they get, you know, a couple of big plays on you, and they're right back in, they win. And those are the ones that hurt the most. You know, the ones you're supposed to win that you kind of give away are the ones that hurt you, you know, deep in your soul. So,
well, you have a young team, but you've been telling me for a couple of years that you got a pretty talented bunch coming up. Now, you got to have a mix of that. You have to have a mix of the senior leadership in any program.
Absolutely.
So you can't really necessarily be carried by sophomore and freshman class, but you have some good material there, some good protoplasm, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
So tell us about the next 2-3 years with the Lavernia program, and what can be accomplished there in your mind.
Well, I think the biggest thing is, like, our incoming freshmen and our sophomores who have had a lot of success in our program haven't, you know, I think they've lost maybe 1 or 2 games. They have a lot of depth, and that's what we had a couple years ago with the Chadwick group and all them, is we had depth. You know, with injuries and everything else, we could plug another one in. And we're finally to that point again. We've got a lot of skilled kids. This year we're excited because we got our offensive linemen back. We've got our running backs back. We're going to lean on them a little bit more. So our senior leadership is there, and our senior class is talented. There's just more numbers coming in the younger classes that's going to help us fill in those spots going into this upcoming year and next year also.
I know it's going to be really, really hard to continue on without a Stotzenberger playing.
Yeah, absolutely.
By the way, I'm not related to – I'm somewhere related to Hunter Stotzenberger, but they had a kid named Hunter Stotzenberger. He was a competitive dude.
He was.
I liked watching him play, and I'm glad that he had my name, because he was one of those guys, he got after it on both sides of the ball.
And that's what Lavernia's kind of built on. You know, all of our kids are competitive, and they play hard. I mean, you look at the Coy Carpenters and the Hunter Stotzenbergers and all these guys. They're a little undersized, but they'll get after you. They're very intelligent. They're usually there where they're supposed to be at the point of attack. So we try to make a living off of that. You know, having the tough, just hard-nosed kids that'll hustle.
Who was your rodeo guy? I forgot his name.
Hunter Kitzmiller.
Kitzmiller.
Yeah.
He was another tough guy.
Yeah, he was a tough
He wasn't very big, but he would just keep going.
Not very fast, not very big, but, you know, couldn't knock him out and you couldn't get rid of him. So kind of get on your nerves after a while.
Well, we've enjoyed covering Lavernia the last number of years, and our plan is to stream them again this year, unless you tell us not to.
No, we'd love to have you.
But it's a lot of fun, and we look forward to it. So, folks, you want Lavernia Bear football, you can watch them here on TexasSportsProductions.com. Also, we're partnered now, as you saw, with KSAT.
Oh, good.
So it will be on the Big Game Coverage app.
Nice.
As well as KSAT.com, and it'll be promoted. So, and if you get any of those exciting highlights at the end of the game, you'll see them on KSAT as well.
There you go. We're going to try to get as many as we can.
It's not going to necessarily be the 30-yard field goal in the first quarter That's the highlight of the 45-40 game. that winning score will probably be in there.
That'd probably be a little better.
All right, your arch enemy is up next, so we got to make room for him now.
All right, I appreciate you.
Say hi to Shay on your way out.
I'll try not to. No, I'm just kidding. He and I are good friends.
All right, Chris Tabor, the head coach of the Vernia Bears, joining us here at the Henry B. Gonzalez Convention Center. We'll be back with more of our coverage of Texas High School Coaches Association Convention here in San Antonio on TexasSportsProductions.com.